good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well this fine Wednesday. So I haven't talked about the case of Jack O'Sullivan for quite a while now. Not to be confused with Jack Sullivan. Jack Sullivan, the little boy from Canada who is currently missing, that I've talked about loads. No, this is Jack O'Sullivan from Bristol here in the United Kingdom. And he has been missing now for over 18 months. It was the evening of the 1st of March, 2024, that he went to a house party. And then he's seen leaving the party in the early hours of March the 2nd. He's caught on numerous CCTV cameras, and then nothing. He's just completely disappeared. So he's 22 at the time of the disappearance. He's 24 now. So I'm going to review his case, and there has been, in the last week or so, there has been a little bit of renewed media interest here in the UK into Jack's case, because an anonymous donor has donated £100,000 to the search for Jack, which is incredibly kind that someone will do that, but that has at least generated a little bit of media interest. But in the main, over the last few months, there hasn't been any news at all about Jack's case. And honestly, as far as what's available in the public, I don't think we're any further forward than the last time I talked about Jack's case. But I wanted to talk about Jack today because of the reward, to just publicise that a little bit. But I am going to start doing a few of these live streams on cases that I've covered, but I haven't covered for a while. So to do a recap, because, there's new people coming into certainly my channel all the time. And there's people who may not have heard my live streams about Jack and know anything about Jack. And it's the same with a bunch of other cases that I've covered, but there hasn't been any news on. But, people, if they're new into a channel, you don't tend to go back and watch a whole lot of the back catalogue. So I'm well aware of that. So that's my idea in doing, in the coming days and weeks, you're going to see a number of these where I'm reviewing a case that I've covered previously. So it's the turn of Jack O'Sullivan today. And if you're in the UK, have you heard of Jack? It is national, and I'm going to play a short clip from Channel 5 News, which is a national TV station, towards the end when I talk about the reward, because his mother was interviewed by Channel 5 News. And Jack's family have been immense in, keeping the information out there and really spurring on the police. The way that they were treated in the early days of this case is pretty dire, I have to say. I mean, really bad, I have to say. And it was Jack's mother who campaigned to get the CCTV, for the police to release the CCTV. And she found some evidence that the police had completely overlooked. So it's very glad, very, very, very fortunate that she did that, because the fact that the police missed key pieces of evidence it's not good, is it? It's not good. But it's thanks to Jack's family that we know as much as we know about the case. And we don't know a great deal, let's put it that way, but at least we do know some things. And once I get into the map and the CCTV, I think you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to say a couple of hellos, give people a bit of a chance to come in. I'm guessing that, as not a lot of people have heard about Jack's case, certainly from overseas, this isn't going to be a popular live stream. But if you wouldn't mind sharing it on your own social media, whatever that might be, whether you've got a Facebook, whether you've got a Twitter, whatever, if you wouldn't mind sharing Jack's, if you don't want to share this live stream, at least share Jack's basic details, especially if you're in the UK, because Jack, like so many other thousands of missing people, his family need answers. We need to know what happened to Jack in the early morning hours of the 2nd of March 2024. We really do. All right, let's have a see who's in the house. We got Mimi, we got Trixie, we got Spud Child. Spud Child, that's good. Hello, Holly. We got Pearl, Angie, baby. Good afternoon to you. Holly, you do have a Bristol where you live. You do have a Bristol. We have a Bristol. I think a few countries have a Bristol. I think they do. Who else have we got in here? We got Mia. We got Petunia. What time does it start? It has started right now. It should tell you the time, the start time. It should do. I don't know why it hasn't done for you, but it should do. Hello, CW, Pincho. He said hello on the phone and vanished. It's very weird. It's very weird. It's very strange. Hello, Mike, Kimberly. Hello, Kitty, Shazza. Journey takes a trip. Lisa, the Quiet Observer, Maltese Cross, and a few other people coming in. All right. So this is the website that is dedicated to Jack's case. Now, I'm assuming his family and friends of his family have put this together, and this is a really, really useful resource. So it's findjackosullivan.co.uk, and a link to this website is in the description box. And I'm going to go through the information on this website because it's basically all we know, or at least all that has been made public. But it's a very, very useful resource. So this is Jack, 24 now, 22 at the time of his disappearance, 5'10", slim build, brown hair, short, and blue eyes, and missing since the early morning hours of the 2nd of March 2024. And we'll talk about the reward at the end. I'll play you the clip from Channel 5 News at the end, so we'll talk about that at the end. All relevant information can be sent to the police on 101, quoting reference 522-4055-172, or you can contact Jack's family by emailing them at findjack23@gmail.com. And then the Missing People charity also now have Jack on their page, and you can access Jack's details from there, or you can contact them with any information. Okay, so here are the circumstances for those who are completely new to this case. These are the basic facts that we know. So it's now over 18 months since 24-year-old Jack O'Sullivan went missing on March 2nd, 2024, following a night out in Hotwells, which is an area of Bristol. I'll show you the map in a moment, and we'll point out exactly where the house party was and the exact route that Jack took per the CCTV that's been available. So he's attempted to get a taxi home, was last seen on CCTV on the morning of March 2nd at approximately 3:40 a.m, walking up the Bennett Way slip road, heading back towards Hotwells. So as you'll see by Jack's route, he walks in like a U shape. He walks down towards the river. So the police's first comments to the family, really insensitive, basically, oh, well, he's in the river, you're never going to see him again. They're thinking, oh, a drunk man, he's come out of a house party, he's worse for wear, he's fallen in the river, and at some point he'll pop up and, we can fish him out the river. That was basically the police's attitude. However, as his mother reviewed the CCTV, we've realised, and the police now acknowledge this, that Jack was seen walking away from the river, walking away from it. So, many times I cover a lot of cases where people are in a water course. Just 2 days ago, I talked about the people who go missing and are found in waterways here in the UK, whether that be rivers, lakes, canals, occasionally in the sea, because we're a very watery nation. You know, the island of Great Britain is an island, and then you've got lots of different little British isles, and then you've got Ireland of Ireland. And, you know, the UK and Ireland, they're very watery. So it stands to reason that, you know, some missing people are going to be found in waterways. And many of those people who accidentally drown are men. 83%, according to one source that I talked about 2 days ago in my video. One source says 83% of people who accidentally drown here in the UK are males. And that's represented by young adults who, like Jack, have been on a night out, the worse for wear. They take a route that probably isn't the safest, and they fall into water and they die. And then they're found at some point in the future. Also, older men, like post 60, also highly represented in drowning figures. But in this instance, it's my opinion that Jack isn't in the river, unless he's headed back towards Hot Wells and then turn around and walk back and then just wasn't caught on any further CCTV. That's the only way I think that Jack could be in the river, is if he went back to the river via another route that wasn't on CCTV. But we don't have the evidence of that, so that's just a speculation. All right, so Jack's phone was still active and placed him at an address at 5:40 a.m. on Granby Hill. And again, that will become clear when we look at the map. His phone continued to be live on the network until 6:44 a.m., at which point the phone went dead. Presumably the battery went or someone turned it off, and it's never come live since. So it's been switched off since 6:44 a.m. on the 2nd of March 2024. Nothing has been seen or heard of Jack since the early hours of that morning. Despite the authorities' efforts, the investigation has hit a standstill, leaving his family desperate for answers. No, there's no cliffs. There's no cliffs where he went missing. So no, he didn't fall off a cliff. There's no cliffs. Okay, so this is what Jack was wearing. I'm just going to go through the website. So the next obvious thing would be to look at the map, but I'm not going to. I'm going to just follow the website. So Jack was wearing these items of clothing: a green or khaki Barber jacket, brown Ralph Lauren trainers, navy blue chinos, and a cream knit lamb's wool jumper or sweater. So that's what he was wearing. So smart casual, I guess you would say. And none of these items have ever been found. So no items of clothing or his shoes or anything connected to what he was wearing has ever been found. Even more intriguing is none of these items that Jack was known to have on his person also have never been found. So he had a black card holder, like I guess like a mini wallet. He had his car key. He wasn't driving because obviously he was at a party. He wasn't driving, but he did have his car key with him. So Peugeot 108 key fob. He had his driving license with him, which I would assume would be in his card holder. And he had his debit card on him, which again, I assume would be in his card holder. And I'm guessing that his family know that these things Jack took with him because they're not in the house. Right? He lived in a village called Flaxburton, which is just about 4 or 5 miles southwest of Bristol City, I think. And was it southwest? I think it was anyway, but 4 or 5 miles walk away. And he was due, when we get to the timeline, it becomes very clear that his parents were expecting him home. So he's 22 years old. He's a man, but still living at home with his parents. and they were expecting him home. He wasn't home, and I'm guessing that they know that these things were with Jack because they're not in the house. So make of that what you will. All right, so an AirTag. And I was dead excited when I realised that he had an AirTag on him. But unfortunately, that AirTag wasn't correctly registered. So they're not able to get any information from it, which is just really unfortunate. He also had an Emporio Armani watch with him, a house key, and his phone, which was a black iPhone 11 in a red silicone case. So one of those protective cases that protect your edges from bumps and stuff. I've got one of them. So all of these things are missing. None of these items, nothing. Not his shoes, not his card holder, not his phone, nothing has ever come to light. Nothing has ever been found. If he was in the river, I don't know whether maybe, you know, his shoes, I guess, might have come off, or they don't always. With people who drown, you kind of think, oh, maybe the shoes will come off, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, honestly. And if he had stuff in his pockets, though, you might think, well, surely something might fall out of his pockets. I'm not aware that he had a bag with him. So I'm guessing he had all of those items in his, maybe his jacket pocket. And if he was in the river, maybe at least one of those items might fall out and somebody might have found it. If somebody had, whether it be one of the searchers or whether it be just a, you know, passerby, and they'd found an item that could actually be linked to Jack, then I would say, well, he's in the river and he's just not been caught on CCTV going back in that direction. You know, he's headed away from the river, but then somehow he's got back and then gone in the river. Did his mum have access to his AirTag container locator? No, as I just said, they're not able to get any information from the AirTag because it wasn't correctly registered. Yeah, there was a white Fiat, Abarth car that was looked for early on. I don't know whether that has been located and ruled out. It's not mentioned on this website. So I'm assuming it's been ruled out, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. I don't know. All right, this is a timeline. So this is according to his family. So it's around 1-ish. So he'd been at the party in the evening, and then around 1-ish, 1 a.m., he's texted his parents to say that he's going to be home and he plans to get a taxi. So by the morning, they were expecting him home. All right. He did leave the party. He left the party shortly before, I want to say shortly before 3. He left the party. And he is then seen walking onto the grass area at the junction of Bruno Lot Way and Bruno Way. Now, when they say it's the last confirmed sighting, it's actually not the last sighting. And I'm going to show you what the police have said in their most recent post in a moment, because the police are now saying that Jack actually was seen on CCTV around 3:40. So 3:17 was the initial last confirmed sighting, like early on in the case. That was the last confirmed sighting that the police could find of him. However, once his mother got the CCTV, then she found Jack on other screen grabs. And we have those. I'm going to show you those. Okay, so at 3:24 a.m., Jack attempts to call a friend who was still at the party. 3:25, so around the same time, there's a likely sighting of Jack on the Plimsoll Bridge heading back towards the Bristol city centre. Now, nobody answered this call. So Jack attempted to call a friend. They didn't answer. But 6 minutes later, at 3:30, that friend did call back. So obviously the friend, maybe the phone was in their pocket and the, just wasn't on them, or I don't know, they were busy. They were busy and they didn't catch the call, but they rang him back 6 minutes later at 3:30. The call was picked up, and the friend says it was Jack's voice on this call. And Jack said hello. After which time, the line was open for a little while, and then it was just disconnected. So Jack was alive. According to the friend who says that it was Jack's voice saying hello, he was alive at 3:30 a.m. 3:39, he was seen walking along Bennett Way. Again, this is away from the river. 3:40 a.m. is also seen on CCTV walking up Bennett Way, heading towards Hotwells. Then it's around 5 a.m. that his mother realised he wasn't home, and she was, a bit concerned. He said he was getting a taxi. So they have the, I assume it's like Find My iPhone. If you're a family of iPhone users, Apple has a system called Find My iPhone, and you can look up people's phones, see where they are, or they might use Live 360, or one of those family, let's find everybody's phones kind of apps, right? And his mother checked where his phone was, and his phone was on, and at 5:40 Jack's phone placed him at an address on Granby Hill, which is a road leading away from the river. And then at 6:44, as we've already said, Jack's phone was active until 6:44, and then it went off, either turned off or it lost its battery, whatever, and it's never come back on. That was the last time Jack's phone was active. All right, so here's the map. All right, so this is where the party was. This is Hotwells Road. This is just outside of Bristol city centre. So Bristol city centre's like here, up here. And then Jack lives off in this direction, I think. Flaxburton's, I think they're off in this direction. So Jack is walking initially in the direction of home, but he did tell his parents that he intended to get a taxi. So he's caught walking. All right. So Hotwells Road here. And then he walks down here, and he's caught on CCTV at 2:53 a.m. And we're going to show the big, like all of these are like actual size, not just thumbnails, but just to give you the times of all these. So he's seen down here at 2:53. Then he crosses Junction Swing Bridge, and he's caught on CCTV at 2:57. Walking along Brunel Lock Road, which is the other side of the river. This is the River Avon. This is the Cumberland Basin. So it's like kind of split up like a little bit, this river. It's very silty, this river. The Cumberland Basin's here. All right, so 2:57 is caught here. So he walks along here, and then he goes down, and this is like at ground level. Like this is obviously high, this is going over the river, this is also high going over the river, this is at ground level, this is ground level with the river. And he's caught here at 3:17 a.m. 3:25, however, though, you would think at this point maybe he's fallen in the river, but no, he's seen on Plimsoll Swing Bridge. So he's going back. So he's walked along here, down here, around here, and then he's done a loop, and he's walking back. So he's like walking in this U shape for some reason. So at 3:25, he's on CCTV. It's only a very distant shot, but his mother believes it's him, on Plimsoll Swing Bridge. Then he's caught at 3:39 on Bennett Way. Again, it's from the distance, but his mother believes it's him. And if he's on Bennett Way, he's either gone along here and along here, or maybe you can get down here. And then at 5:40, his phone is pinging from an address on Granby Hill, which is here, which makes absolute sense that he's gone in a U shape. So he's gone from the party, he's gone along here, he's gone down here, up here, and whether he's gone this way or whether he's gone this way, I don't know, but he's then ended up on Granby Hill, or at least his phone has. Now, if he keeps going up Granby Hill, then he will get to a road that is close to Hotwells, which is close to the party. So is he walking back to the party? Is his intent to walk back to the party? Or maybe he can go up here and then up here and go back to the party. You know, if he's got to here and then decided he's going to go back to the party, his options are, well, he could retrace his steps, or maybe he feels that this is shorter. Now he's here, and maybe he feels it's shorter to go. Maybe this way. I don't know whether it is shorter, but maybe. So these are the CCTV images released to his family by the police. So this is the first one. And that's obviously none of these show his face, but there he is. And then that's 2:57. Now that's in the distance, but his family believe it's him. And then this one, I think, is the clearest, 3:08. He's kind of walking with his head down, whether he's drunk or really tired or something, but he seems to be walking with his head down. But it's consistent with the clothes that he was wearing. And I think that was maybe the last one that the police confirmed, or maybe it was this one that the police confirmed. And then there's this one at 3:17 here. But then once his mother, and this was right near the river. This is under the bridge. So, like, this is at ground level, under the bridge. And at this point, you might assume that someone who's worse for wear, for whatever reason, has fallen in the river. But no, once his mother got the CCTV, then she spotted a figure walking. This is Plimsoll Bridge, walking back along Plimsoll Bridge. So you can hardly make it out, but there is a person walking there. And if that's not Jack, who is it? Because you can't see anyone else. There's no one else out. There's no one else around. So if that's not Jack, well, who is it? If that's not Jack, that's a suspicious person. And then the last one, I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. That is on Bennett Way. So that's heading away from the river. And that, obviously, it's in the distance, but walking in the same way that confirmed sighting of Jack was, like walking with the head a little bit down, like either drunk or worse for wear or tired. So these that are in the distance, one's on Plimsoll Bridge, and this is just before his friend rings him back. So in between this time, like being caught here and being caught here, his friend rings him at 3:30. Someone who the friend believes is Jack says hello, and then the line's open for a little while, and then it disconnects. But the phone stays live and is pinged at 5:40 here on Granby Hill, at an address on Granby Hill. And then at 6:44 is the last time the phone is active. Maybe he ran into some trouble and tried to make his way back to the house party. Yeah, I think he probably was trying to get back to the party. Maybe he thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get a taxi, so I'm just going to go back to the party. I don't know. It's like trying to work out what his motive would be in walking down past the river, crossing the river, and then crossing it back, and then heading back towards the direction of the party, not in the direction of home. If he was walking home, if he, let's say, couldn't get a taxi, so there's no taxis around, let's just say, and he just wanted to get home, I'd have walked home. At that point, I'd have thought, well, I'm just going to walk home, because I think if you go down this road here, maybe, I think you get home. Someone forcefully knocking on the door. I think it's going to be my dog food. Kyle's getting it, though. I think. Yeah, he is. Cheers. All right, so... oh, yeah, it's my dog food. I can hear him bringing the bag in. This is what the police have said. So this is Avon and Somerset Police. This is the police constabulary that is in charge of his case. And this is at the year mark. And they did an update on their website at the year mark. So March 2025. So I'm going to read what the police have said. So it's been a year since 23-year-old, he's now 24, Jack O'Sullivan went missing after a night out in Bristol. Jack, who was 22 at the time of his disappearance, was last seen in the early hours of March the 2nd after he attended a house party in the Hotwells area of Bristol. Now, 1 year on, we're appealing to the public to think back to where they were a year ago and to recall if they saw anything which could help our investigation. And this is the police confirming that the last likely sighting was Jack at 3:38 or 3:39, 3:38:39. It was 38 and some seconds, walking on Bennett Way Slip Road, heading in the direction of Bristol city centre. So the police are now acknowledging that Jack likely did not get down to the Cumberland Basin in the River Avon and fall in. They are at last acknowledging. I can hear him shouting at the puppy. The last likely sighting of Jack was 3:38 a.m. walking along Bennett Way Slip Road, heading in the direction of Bristol city centre. He had earlier been spotted on CCTV walking around the Cumberland Basin and below the Plimsoll Swing Bridge. So there's all the CCTV again. But it's easier to see it on the website. So this is the last one. 3:38, 3:39. So the police are now acknowledging that this is most likely Jack heading away from the river, heading in the direction of Bristol city centre. So he's either trying to head back towards the party or somewhere else, but he's not heading in the direction of home. He's not heading in direction of home. To help people cast their minds back to this day, it was a particularly cold evening and had snowed. Later the same day, so this would be Saturday, the 2nd of March, Bristol City, so this is a football team, soccer for you guys in the US. Bristol City lost 1-0 to local rivals Cardiff City. So that's just like cast your mind back. So that afternoon of March the 2nd, there would have been a huge amount of people in and around the Bristol area. Like if it's a local derby, when two teams that are local rivals play together, it brings out everybody. Like the stadium most likely would have been full. So Bristol City Stadium most likely would have been full. So there would have been a lot of people in Bristol City travelling to and around. So cast your mind back. Were you at that game? Are you a Bristol City fan? You went to Bristol City that afternoon. Well, are you a Cardiff City fan and you went to an away game and then you went home? Just cast your mind back to that day. Did you see anything that could be of interest to this case? The day Jack went missing, an investigation was launched into his disappearance, with almost 20 police departments being involved in the search over the following weeks and months. Assistant Chief Constable Joanne Hall said, "It has been 1 year since Jack's disappearance. It's now over 18 months." This was written on the earmark. "I want to recognise the pain his family continues to go through. Our collective thoughts remain with them during this very difficult time. Anniversaries provide an important opportunity to look back and reflect. A lot can happen in a year, and things which didn't appear significant at the time may look different with the passage of time. Do you remember what you were doing that cold, snowy day in March 2024, so March the 2nd? You may recall seeing something which on the surface seemed unimportant. Maybe two young adults talking. And you would have thought that's not significant whatsoever. Two people talking. But that could have been an argument. That could have been somebody arguing with Jack and then something happened. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what happened to Jack after he was last caught on CCTV heading away from the river, heading towards Bristol city centre. We don't know what happened to Jack after that. But what we do know is that his phone was live until 6:44 a.m. and was at an address in the Granby Hill area. We do know that. Do you remember seeing anything on your journey, whether you were walking in the area or travelling on the roads? Our investigation has been extensive, with resources utilised more than 30 different teams and organisations, including support from colleagues within the fire service, His Majesty's Coast Guard and the National Police Air Service, which includes seeking independent advice, support and guidance from experts at the National Crime Agency, an experienced police search advisor from a neighbouring force, and an independent oceanographer. So they initially, again, thought he was in the river. So they've had the Coast Guard looking, they had river searches, they had water dogs, so dogs that are trained to detect the scent of someone when they're underwater. They had those dogs out, thinking that he'd fallen in the river. And Bristol is not too far away from the sea. So if he fell in the river, the chances are he would head out towards the coast and be seen at some point. Because the River Avon is quite silty. I don't know how deep it is. Like, once the snow starts to melt low, obviously the river gets, an influx of water when the snow melts. But I honestly don't think he's in the river, because he was last seen walking away from the river at 3:38 a.m. So unless he somehow doubled back on himself and just wasn't caught on any more cameras, that's a possibility. But remember, none of the items that he had on his person and none of his clothing has ever been located. So Joanne Hall goes on. Our dive team has searched the river from Avonmouth through to Conham River Park. Officers, including those with our mounted team, dog unit and drone unit, have searched in water and on land, especially in the wider area where Jack was last seen, including the Hotwells, Ashton and North Somerset areas. We have kept an open mind throughout this investigation. Well, you didn't do initially. Those crucial early days, they weren't keeping an open mind. They were assuming he was in the river. They may be keeping an open mind now, seeing as they've acknowledged that the last likely sighting of Jack was at 3:38 a.m. heading away from the river. Now, maybe they are keeping an open mind now, and that's good at least. So we've kept an open mind throughout this investigation and regularly review our various hypotheses around Jack's disappearance. As the year has progressed, we've exhausted multiple lines of inquiry, and we'd like to thank the public for their help so far in coming forward with information. We ask you again to please cast your mind back to this time last year and think about any details which may help us. It's wide and deep. It's deep towards the mouth. Let's just get Google Maps up here. Okay. All right, so this is Granby Hill. This is where his phone was last caught on an address. And it's like a lot of like student apartments, like Bristol. It's got a university. It's, you know, it's got a lot of students. So this is Granby Hill. So it's a lot of apartments, you know, flats. Some of them are going to be students. Some probably are not. But it's a very studenty area. And this is what it actually looks like. So I think this might be Bennett Way, or maybe it's the other one. Oh no, that's Hot Wells Road. If we go out a bit more. So there's Bennett Way. So his last known sighting was here, caught here. So he's come off the bridge. Whoa, what happened there? What happened there? It threw me onto the bridge. It threw me on. So this is the swing bridge. So he was caught on the bridge itself. So he's caught on the bridge itself, walking in this direction back towards town. Home is in this direction down here. So he's on CCTV, caught going away, and then it's going to go down here onto Bennett Way. Oh, why does it not want me to drive on Bennett Way? So there's Bennett Way anyway. So he seems to have been walking down here, but he's walking towards town. He's walking in the direction of town. And then Granby Hill, the Granby Hill address is right here. So I think he's come off Plimsoll Swing Bridge here and gone down here. And maybe, and then come back to go up Granby Hill, maybe. But there's a bridge there. So there's a walking route. So why didn't he just walk? Oh no, because if you come off the bridge, you're underneath this walking route. So I think he must have gone, I don't know. But anyway, his phone is here. His phone is here. So his last sightings, 3:25 on here, on the bridge. And then Bennett Way, heading in the direction of Bristol city centre. So heading in this direction. This is the city centre here. Right, that's the city centre. This is just kind of outside of the city centre. He's walking in the direction of city centre on Bennett Way. And then his phone is at an address on Granby Hill. Now, the river itself, River Avon, you can see how silty it is. If you just go on the bridge and look at the river. See, this is the canal, and then that feeds into... Right, there's a canal and a river. You can see how silty the river is. So it doesn't look deep at that point, but it's very silty. Now, if he was in the river and all of his items came out of his pockets, it could well be that they wouldn't surface because they'd just go into the silt. You can see, look, you can see the build up there. And then that's the Bristol Channel. So that's the River Severn there. That's the Bristol Channel. And then that's the Irish Sea. So the River Avon feeds into the Bristol Channel, and that's obviously the river mouth. And then into the Irish Sea. All right. I would say the tide was out at the time of those images. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was. But still, obviously at low tide, you can see what the riverbed looks like. Now, if the tide, obviously at that area is tidal, so the river's going to vary on its depth based on the tide. But what I'm interested in is what's on the bottom. So those images are good because you can see what's on the bottom, and it's just very, very silty, as are all our rivers. It's so bad. But if we just go back down, can I look at the river better if I go in here? Yeah, I can. Yeah, so you can see where the river comes up to when it's high. You see that's the top of the bank. So yeah, the river's low in these images here. So you can see where the top of the river is if it's high. So, don't know. All right, I'm going to finish this, and then I'll play you the reward clip, and then I'm going to call it a day because Kyle is on puppy duty downstairs, probably getting attacked on the puppy on the puppy duty. How you can help: appeal for CCTV. There was over 400 vehicles passing through the area during the time that Jack was walking, and we urge any cars, lorries, vans, taxis, or buses that might have dash cam footage to come forward. We also urge residents local to the area in which Jack was last seen, so that's the Hot Wells area, to check household security cameras and doorbells for footage of Jack passing by. Now, remember, this is now 18 months on, so the likelihood of there being any footage out there that hasn't previously been seen is unlikely. But if you do happen to have a system that backs everything up, you know, you back everything up on a cloud, let's say, then go and check it. Just go and check it. So you're looking at from, let's say, 2:53 when he left the house party to all through March the 2nd. If you're in the Hot Wells area or just outside of the Hot Wells area, then if you've backed up all your security camera footage onto a cloud and you can go back that far, then just check it. Just check it. If you have any footage corresponding with the period that Jack went missing, please report this to the police by calling 101 and quoting reference 522 4055 172, and also share Jack's story. So share this video on your social media, or just share Jack's picture, anything. Just keep Jack's name out there. If you don't want to share this video, you don't have to. Just share Jack. Just share Jack. All right, there's some frequently asked questions here. Which don't really help that much, but where was Jack last seen? Well, we've already been to that map. We've already been to this. So it's just going to redirect us back there. Okay, where was Jack's phone found? Jack's phone has not been found. So none of the items that he had on him has ever been found. But as I said, the location showed that it was at an address on Granby Hill, and it was live until 6:44 a.m. Was the address where the phone appeared to be located searched? No. It was only visited once by the police. No further visits or search was made following the first visit, which is incredibly frustrating. No idea, just know it was on Granby Hill. No idea which address it was, but the police visited it. Didn't go in, I assume. Didn't search it, I assume. So that's annoying. Did cameras pick up the number plates of potential witnesses? Please see them up above. Search parties have occurred and may continue. Doesn't really help. What areas in and around the Cumberland Basin or the Long Ashton Bypass, Hot Wells and Clifton area have been searched? Please see this map. That doesn't link to anything, which is really annoying. I don't know why that link doesn't work. I have tried it previously in the past and it doesn't work. So that's really annoying because it would be useful to know that. Has the mobile phone company been contacted? Yes. So his phone provider did release the data to the family. Obviously, the police have had it, but they released it eventually to the family. And as far as I know, it hasn't revealed anything. Has the route to Flax-Burton been searched? A search is being planned. Now, I don't know whether since this was written, a search has been planned or has been conducted. I heard that they had searched the whole route. Now, Flax-Burton is, find it. Flax-Burton, it's down here somewhere. There it is. It's like a little village area. So if Jack had walked from here and just carried on walking down this road here, he'd have gone home. He'd have got home. But he chose not to. I would have just walked it. But what if he did? What if he did double back and think, oh, well, I might as well walk? What if he did double back and he got lost, not lost, but something happened to him along this route? So this entire route, I'm assuming that it has been searched by now. If it hasn't, then I'm incredulous. I would be absolutely incredulous if it hadn't been found. This is another really weird thing, that Jack was out looking for a taxi, but his Uber account hasn't been used. So if he was out looking for a taxi, why wouldn't he just log into his Uber to see if an Uber was available? I don't understand. Like, if he was out there looking for a taxi and he couldn't find a taxi, which may have been cheaper than an Uber, but he couldn't find a taxi, why wouldn't he at least log into his Uber just to see what the price would be? But he didn't. He didn't log into his Uber account, which I find really, really weird. You know, did he decide not to go home and thought, oh, well, I'm going to just go back to the party, and decided not to go back home? Hence why he didn't log on to Uber. Have bus companies being contacted? We're trying to speak to them. I don't know whether they've had any joy. I assume that the police might have. Which police force is it? It's Avon and Somerset. Has Jack's Apple AirTag been located? We have tried locating it, and sadly, it hasn't been found as it wasn't registered correctly. That is really, really frustrating. Really frustrating, because the Apple AirTag, if it had been registered correctly, could have given the answer. So I've never had Apple AirTags. I'm an Apple person. I have Apple everything, but I've never used Apple AirTags. So I don't know, like, do you need to, like, how do you register them? I don't know. I've no idea. But they weren't able to get the data from it, which is very frustrating. Have the owners of the cars entering the clean air zone over this period been contacted? The clean air zone have been asked for this information. I'm assuming that the police have got all this information. I'm assuming. I don't even know what the clean air zone is. I'm assuming that's like the area of the city. I don't know. Have the Arbor authorities been contacted? Yes, they've provided CCTV footage and all relevant information regarding tidal times, etc. That's good. We know that the Coast Guard has been involved. Have places like cash converters, pawn shops, Vinted, and eBay been contacted? Some of them have, yes, but anyone offering to do any more would be great. I'm assuming that's, if somebody's tried to sell his phone or sell his clothes or something like that. Has Jack's debit card been used since? No. Phone usage? No phone usage since 6:44 on the 2nd of March 2024. Do you have a PR expert? It's a strange, frequently asked question. Are you hoping to have someone to join us very soon? I don't really know why they need a PR expert, but strange question to be a frequently asked questions. Future searches and gatherings. We are currently talking about next steps, and rest assured, we will let people know if there is, and all the details will well in advance. Have the missing persons registry been notified? Frustrating, and the police failed or forgot to report Jack to the missing persons register initially, but he is now appearing on the Facebook group, etc. And he is on the missing person charity website. I checked just today. And he is on there. Have derelict buildings in the area been searched? During the public searches, derelict areas that were accessible were checked. It is not clear if or where the police have searched. Obviously, private searchers, helping Jack's family, they can only do so much because, if you can't go trespassing, you can't go rifling through people's sheds or yards or anything like that. Now, derelict buildings on open land, yes, of course, you can search them. Derelict buildings on farmland where there's public rights of way, yeah, you get away with searching them as well. But anything on private property, then you have to trust the police, that the police have done their job. Were sniffer dogs involved? Dogs were used on the water, so those specialist water cadaver dogs were used. We're unsure if they were used on land, and we have since been denied the use of sniffer dogs privately by the police. Now, live scent trackers, absolutely pointless. 18 months down the line, in a city environment like that, you'd need a live scent tracker out there within the first couple of hours to even have a hope in hell of getting a scent, because there's so much conflicting scent. There's nowhere for that scent to, bed in or anything like that. But cadaver dogs, I would like to see a search done of this entire route with cadaver dogs. Now, obviously, that's a tall order because it's a lot. It's about 5 miles. But along this route, in these fields, if not cadaver dogs, then a bunch of searchers. Because if he did try to walk home and he got into difficulty, he could be lying somewhere. Could be lying dead somewhere. And we wouldn't know. Finally, is a private investigator being used? Following a meeting with the family and a missing persons advisor, it was agreed that some of the donations have been used to employ a specialist firm to advance the search for Jack. So I think that does mean that there is a PI now working on the case. That would have been one of the first things I would have gotten, a PI, given that in the early stages of the investigation, the police were next to useless. I would have used the I know they were collecting donations at one point to pay a PI, but that does seem to have been done. So very, very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. I think Manchester has just got a clean air zone. I don't even know what they are. I don't go to cities very often, so I have no idea what they are. No idea. All right, I'm going to play you this. This is just from a few days ago. This is Channel 5 News from September the 9th, so from last week. And Jack's mother is interviewed on this clip. here. So we're going to just play this. It's like 2.5 minutes. This is Channel 5 News. You have no sound. You have no sound. Okay. All right. Okay, it's doing this nonsense again. All right. Just 1 second. 1 second, and we will be back. All right. Let's hope this works. Let me know if this now works. Start it from the top.
Now, almost 18 months ago, Jack O'Sullivan disappeared after a night out. The 23-year-old student was last seen in Bristol, but despite several searches and police reviewing more than 100 hours of CCTV footage, his whereabouts...
Can you hear that now? Good stuff. StreamYard hasn't done that to me for a while. Just like drops the audio for no reason. All you have to do is stop sharing, then reshare, and it works. I don't know. I have no idea.
Remain a mystery. Well, now an anonymous donor is offering £100,000 reward for information about Jack's whereabouts. Joining us in the studio is Catherine O'Sullivan, who's Jack's mum. Thank you so much. I know this is never easy to talk about, but it's something that you're desperate to get answers for.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you about that £100,000 reward from somebody you don't know?
No. How
did that come about? How does it feel to hear that?
Well, it was absolutely staggering. We had a message directly sent to me, and initially, it was quite hard to believe. You don't know whether it's true. Is this a hoax or something like that? But it became quite apparent quite quickly that it was a genuine offer, and well, it's just incredible, really. So generous, and if it can make a difference, then just wonderful. But the person that has done this, I've spoken with, and they've just said, well, I'm a parent and I'm able to do this, and I really want to help you. So yeah, it's just amazing.
It must be so hard for you to gauge your emotion, because we've done a programme on Channel 5 in the past called Vanished, about missing people. And so many mums and dads talk about their sons and daughters who might go missing. And there are people, for whatever reason, who come forward with hoax calls, with bogus information, and it's filtering that out with a genuine promise of £100,000.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's almost daily. I mean, it has calmed down a little, but I don't know what I'm going to expect to read or to hear next. So it's hard to filter it, but you soon get to realise the genuine kindness that's out there. So yeah, we're just very grateful.
I know this is always a hard one to answer, and it's probably a stupid question, but how are you and the family, how are you doing with 18 months of living with this?
Yeah, it's really hard. It is incredibly difficult. My life is devoted to this. I'm Jack's mum. What else should I be doing? But, for my husband and my eldest son, it's so hard to see them in all of us together in this terrible, terrible nightmare.
Get him.
What the hell? What the hell? I think it's gone on to the next video. I can't stop it.
Are you going to get him?
I have to do that. It's gone on to the next video. Like, boing, 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 boing. I have no idea. No idea. I don't like Facebook video. They don't do well. Facebook video doesn't. Okay, so incredibly sad. Incredibly sad that his family have had to endure this for 18 months now. And there's just no answers. None whatsoever. None at all. And Jack is 24 now, 22 at the time of disappearance, 5'10", slim build, brown hair, short in a short style and blue eyes. Missing since 2nd of March 2024. There's a £100,000 reward for anybody with information can be claimed by a person or group of persons who provide information that leads directly or indirectly to Jack being physically reunited with Catherine Allen or Benjamin O'Sullivan. So if you've got any information, call the cops on 101 quoting reference 522-405-5172, or you can contact the Missing Persons Charity, or you can contact Jack's family at findjack23@gmail.com. So hopefully somebody, hopefully that will shake a tree and it will give the clue that is needed to locate Jack, whether he's alive or not, just to locate him and give his family some closure. Some closure. That's all we need. Closure. Ideally, Jack alive. But failing that, then closure. And if a crime has been committed, then that's the first part of the justice process. We need to locate Jack, or at least give some answers as to who might be involved in his disappearance. So, all right, I'm going to leave it there. So you are going to see some more live streams like this, where cases that I've covered in the past that I've not covered for a while, and they just need eyes on them. So whether it be like Jack's here because there's been a reward offered, or whether it's just because literally no one is talking about that case and I just want to go through their case again, you're going to see a few of these, okay, up and coming in the next days and weeks, along with the other cases that I'm covering in recorded videos. So I shall bid you farewell. I'll go and see what the puppy's up to. She's running riot. It's great fun. And yeah, thank you all for joining me. Thanks as always to the mods. I don't think we had any donations this live stream, but that's okay. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you very soon. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.